All right, today we're going to unpack something really fascinating. It's a deeply symbolic text from the 12th century, a wild vision that's just filled with these strange images, some pretty powerful warnings, and what might just be a hidden blueprint for humanity.
Yeah, so this is way more than just a story. You've got to think of it more like a complex allegory, a spiritual message all coded in symbols. And the way it starts? Well, it's got a tone that is absolutely impossible to ignore. Wow. I mean, talk about an opening line, right? There's no gentle introduction here. The voice in this vision just comes right out and confronts you, setting this super high-stakes, urgent tone from the get-go. It really makes you wonder, okay, who is speaking and why are they so upset?
So to make sense of all this, we're going to break it down into 4 parts. We'll start with the strange setting in a throne of stone. Then we'll listen to the Rebuke and the Path. After that, things get a little weird with visions within the vision. And finally, we'll get to the good stuff, decoding the divine blueprint.
Okay, first things first, let's set the scene. The vision doesn't begin with a person. Nope, it starts with a very specific and pretty unusual building.
The building itself is a complete paradox, right? It's built from 2 opposite materials. One is simple and plain, the other is all bright and elegant. This is our first major clue that everything we're about to see has a much deeper symbolic meaning.
The vision then kind of pulls us inside. We see these 7 brilliant white steps, and they're curving upwards, almost like a seashell, cradling something really important, a massive, shining throne. You can just feel the sense of progression, of climbing towards a place of real power. And sitting on that throne is our central figure. The description is so precise, a youthful but noble person whose whole look is both striking and serene. And you just know this has to be the source of that powerful voice we heard at the beginning. All right, so now that the scene is set, let's get to the core message. This enigmatic figure on the throne starts to speak, and their words are a direct challenge to humanity. This is really the heart of the whole rebuke. The voice is accusing people of willful ignorance, of knowing what's right but just choosing to ignore it. It's a powerful accusation of, spiritual laziness and moral confusion. The vision lays out 2 very distinct paths. It's a stark choice. A path defined by earthly desires versus one focused on heavenly virtues. And there's no middle ground offered here. You are on one path or you are on the other.
And just when you think you're starting to get the hang of this, the vision gets even more surreal. New abstract images start appearing, just layering more and more symbols on top of what we've already seen. So suddenly, there's a wheel with a person inside it who has this cryptic message on their chest, and then, over by a window, a deer is just standing there poised to run. These aren't just random details. Each one is another piece of a much larger symbolic puzzle. And then the vision shifts again. See, these aren't just inanimate symbols. They're personified concepts, virtues that actually step forward to introduce themselves and explain what they're all about. This is classic medieval allegory, turning big ideas into characters to make a point.
So first, we meet constancy. This virtue describes itself as an immovable pillar, a foundation of strength that just cannot be shaken by doubt or chaos. It represents a totally unwavering commitment. Next up is heavenly desire. And hey, look at that. It connects directly back to the deer we just saw. So this virtue is the personification of a deep spiritual thirst, a longing for a connection to the divine, just like a deer longs for water. It all clicks. And finally, we hear from a figure called the string of the heart. This one represents a state of perpetual focus and spiritual contemplation, an unbreakable connection to that true and eternal light, one that's never distracted or tired.
Okay, so we've seen all the strange images and heard the powerful voices. So what on earth does it all mean? Luckily, the text itself basically gives us the key to unlock all these symbols.
Let's decode this. The 7 white steps aren't just stairs. They symbolize the righteous actions a person has to take. It's a journey of faith that always leads upward.
And that throne at the top, that represents the divine order of the universe, what the text calls God's providence, the ultimate power that governs and protects everything.
And the figure on the throne, it's identified as the Word of God, a representation of Christ. The description of a youth, who is also the strongest lion, is meant to capture that dual nature of innocence and immense strength.
Even the clothing has a deep meaning. The purple tunic is a direct symbol of sacrifice and redemption. It represents the blood of Christ shed out of love for humanity. And that brings us right back where we started, the building itself.
Those two types of stone, the plain and the elegant, they symbolize the essential union of thought and action. You can't just have faith, you have to combine it with good works.
So after all that complex imagery, the core message is surprisingly direct. Knowledge and work, belief and action, they have to come together. It's a powerful challenge coming to us from 900 years ago, and it leaves us with a compelling question for today. In a world full of information, how do we turn what we believe into what we actually do?